issues to do with education, because the Ghana National Education Campaign Coalition, that's GNEC, says it has enough proof that the Ghana Partnership Schools project, which seeks to privatize some basic schools on pilot basis, will fail. The coalition thus wants government to scrap the project, which is expected to be rolled out this September. Now let's find more details on this issue and why they are saying this, because they're not the first institution, actually, group to come up with that. Others have also said that. So we're joined by the chairman of the Ghana National Education Campaign Coalition, Kofi Asari, to give us details of this story. Good evening, sir. Welcome to the City Newsroom.
Good evening to your viewers.
So what evidence do you have that this pilot project will fail?
Well, it's not a project. It's actually a concept being developed into a project. But the whole idea of bringing in private partners to manage public basic schools that are low performing with the aim of getting quality learning outcomes through their efficient management and supervisory practices is not new. It started somewhere about 6-7 years ago. And it's taking place in countries like Liberia, in Nigeria, in Kenya, in Uganda, in Pakistan. There are about 10 countries or 12 countries that have gone through this process before. And what happens in all these countries is that at the beginning of the whole enterprise, the private partners accede to certain deliverables that, given these resources, we are going to achieve this quality of learning outcomes. And then when it gets to this level, we sustain it. But in all these countries, none of the partners have been able to sustain it. A classic case is the Bridge Academy example. Bridge Academy eventually were chased out of Sudan because their practices were found not to be sustainable. And so, you see, paying private enterprises or entities to come and deliver management and supervision in a public school with the aim of getting quality outcomes is not the right way to go if you are really interested in improving your learning outcomes. What you do is that you need to invest in supervision and management. We mentioned that as we speak, the capitation grant for the academic year hasn't gone. We are in the second term. The capitation grant is the money that the head teachers use to manage the school. The money hasn't gone. So when you, for want of a better word, stifle schools and you don't give them the resources they need to manage and supervise the school properly, and you turn around and say that learning outcomes are poor, and for that matter, the public has lost confidence in the public education system. So you are bringing in private actors who have experience in managing schools to come and experiment their model in our public system and give them more resources than you are giving public schools. Then it's a non-starter. So
you were saying that over the years, the teachers or those schools were not given enough resources, and if we flip the coin, we're going to give that resource to the private sector. Instead, you want that resource channeled back into the current system to deal with the issue.
Under the proposed arrangement, they are going to give more than that resource to the private partner, more than what is being given currently to public schools. And so we are saying that, this government is very much, they are being fantastic when it comes to pushing the devolution agenda. The president mentioned that the new education bill is going to Parliament, and that bill seeks to devolve education management by taking power and authority, responsibility from the Ghana Education Service headquarters and moving them to the district assemblies, so that where you are giving them more power and authority to take decisions regarding their education, you can hold them accountable. As the system pertains now, you can't walk to a school in Tintriche and blame the school headmaster because he has no control over the teachers there. You cannot go and blame the DC in that district because he did not recruit a teacher. He cannot do anything about teacher attendance, teacher absenteeism. There's nothing they can do about it because they don't have the power, so you can't hold them accountable. But when the education bill is passed this year, and hopefully it sees implementation next year, power will be devolved to the district assemblies so that the assemblies will be mandated to manage their own education. Isn't it the best way to approach an agenda of improving learning outcomes through efficient management and supervision? It is, and that's why we are saying that there's no point in government rushing to the Ghana Partnership School project because you have comprehensive legal reforms in place, which we are fully confident in, that when you devolve the system, it promotes greater accountability. And when there's accountability, you're going to see quality learning outcomes.
So you were involved in talks with them initially. They reached out to you, correct?
Exactly.
And you backed out from those discussions?
We haven't backed up. We haven't backed out. We've been part of the process for the past year, okay? Until we had the most recent meeting at Aqua Safari, where that meeting was supposed to flesh out the implementation arrangements and then also give us some idea about the protocols. That is why we got to realize that government is actually thinking of paying the private people more than they are giving public schools. That is why we got to realize government is actually thinking of engaging private people. Okay, we didn't know. And that's where we started asking questions like, so what happens to the SMC, the School Management Committee? Because if you bring in a private man, they will bring their own board. They say, yes, they can bring in their own board. So, wow. Then we asked, what about teachers? Because, so yeah, the private person, when he takes over the school, will have the right to request the GES to transfer the teacher because they may feel that the teacher's commitments probably might not meet the expectations.
But isn't that really the issue of contention over the kind of teachers we have in these schools and whether they are living up to expectation? Isn't the issue mainly to do with that? The quality of the education system we are giving to these young children based on what is coming from these teachers?
Within the context of this approach, and I'll share with you one of the experiences in Pakistan. You give a school to a teacher to manage, a private manager to manage, and then there are 10 teachers. The manager says, take 6 of them away. They are not serious. Bring me new ones. Who should those 6 go and teach? It is discriminatory.
And why would they say those teachers are not serious? Is it that they don't meet the targets?
Because
or should we keep them there if they are not serious?
Because the private, under the system and under the similar ones, the private manager is paid based on certain learning outcomes. For example, they will say that you have 100 students in this school. At the end of 1 year, we'll come and do a standardized test for all of them. If every student is able to recite a 10-letter word, which means that they've all reached a minimum level of proficiency. Based on that, we will pay you per head this amount of money.
And isn't that fair that you want the children to attain some level of education?
Yes, it is fair to expect children to attain that certain level of education. But it is not fair to commoditize education that way, because when you commoditize education that way, more or less you are putting the profit motive first. Listen, a pupil can be taught to pass a test. That is different from education. Okay, so when you commodify education by saying that if you are able to make sure that this guy speaks 2-letter words or 1 + 1 = 2 within 6 months, they can just train the children with the test in mind. And this, I'm talking about experiences from other countries.
But we are seeing that as we speak, that people are being trained to just pass examinations.
Yes, but
that's what is even happening now.
If you do a transition study, you find out whether you go to university or when I get there, what happens. Because in the university, you may not. Okay, so we have a system here which is very robust. You see, if we think that there is something in terms of best practice that the public education system should learn from the private schools, there are so many ways. You can select low-cost private schools, like schools that are not expensive, low-cost private schools, and then study their management model. Find out why they don't have graduate teachers. Find out why they don't pay the teachers more than the public schools, but their students perform better. You can do an operational research and then document these best practices and then come to the public sector and use the outcome of this research to inform reforms in the management systems. You don't need to do a 3-year pilot and then arrogate, or if you like, cede the powers of the state, i.e. the powers to manage human resource and all that to private people, and then give them more resources than the public system currently has, and then pay them to do the work that they're supposed to do. That is not.
We have to wrap up, but for teachers that are not performing, living up to expectations, what do we do with them?
If teachers do not perform, then it means that the GES is not doing their work well. And it means that government is not doing their work well. Because it is the duty of the Ghana Education Service and the Ministry of Education to ensure that teachers perform well. And that duty cannot be shared to private partners. It is the government's obligation, and it must be done in that light, because education is a social good. It is not electricity, it is not water, it is a right.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Kofi Asare, Chairman of the Ghana National Education Campaign Coalition. Let's move on to some others.